This is Haystack Help Radio on KLZ 560 The Source. Haystack Help Radio is powered by HaystackHelp.com. Finding help can be like finding a needle in a haystack, but with HaystackHelp.com, finding the needle just got a lot easier.
Welcome to Haystack Help Radio. My name is Scott Watley. We want to thank you for joining us. Hope you've had a good week. Our number, 303-477-5600. Got our good buddy Kevin Flesch in today with Flesch Law. Kevin, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Scott. How are you?
I'm good. A little chilly.
Yeah, well,
I'm telling you.
Join the rest of us.
Man, alive.
What a difference a week makes.
Oh, man. What, 2 days ago, like 65?
Yeah.
Man, flat cold out there. And keep your speed down. Streets are still going to get slick and probably going to be a little icy tonight still with the moisture and all. So keep your speed down and don't want anybody having an accident.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think next week we're going to have lots of calls because there were a lot of accidents the last few days with all that black ice and everything else, and that's just nasty. It was nasty driving around.
And usually
yesterday.
It's not like one or two. One
No.
car hits another car and another car.
Yeah. And those are the hard ones, especially where we have these sort of inclement weather where, people are like, well, I tried to stop, but it was black ice because, well, we'll talk about it at some point. But it is an interesting defense and the sort of act of God that,
Right.
that's always the defense. But, of course, you've got following too closely, and you've got a variety of things that everybody needs to slow down. And I saw a lot of people driving too fast yesterday.
Right. I drive a truck, and, anytime most people think they got a truck or four-wheel drive or SUV, they think,
Go.
Just go. And, man, I'm telling you, it is slick in some places.
I saw lots of trucks spinning out yesterday. I had court appearances in both Adams County and Denver, and when I was driving around, I saw a bunch of folks that just up on the median, not paying attention. In a blink of an eye, you can spin out in that sort of weather. So slow it down.
A lot of times you'll hear when it's really bad, they'll put on accident alert.
Yeah.
That really means what?
Well, what it really means is get all the information, the things we talk about every week, but it's now on you because the police aren't showing up. So get as much information as possible, and if there aren't significant injuries that they need an ambulance to show up, then they're expecting you to sort of file a counter report later. I still say if once again, if you have injuries, that's fine. Accident alert. Don't call because they're busy with the other ones, but get yourself to a doctor right away.
Right.
Yeah, but that's what it means. I really didn't hear much about that yesterday. I'm sure
I didn't
there
either.
were.
I just happen to think as we progress more into winter, we're going to hear.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And generally what that means is, our recommendation is always to have the police called and make a report. On those particular days where they say accident alert, then you don't. Get yourself out of the lanes of traffic, get as much information as you can, and then make a report later. Most of the police agencies now in town have the ability to have you go online and do that, so do that right away so that you can document what was going on. And if you really are hurt, call the police, tell them you're hurt, make sure you get the care that you need.
Right. Our number is 303-477-5600, and today we're going to take any legal question that you may have. So give us a call. Maybe you've been thinking about something you've always wanted to ask, and this is an opportunity. 303-477-5600.
Yeah, I'd like to hear some just crazy fact patterns today if we can. And,
okay, sure.
And see if we can. We'll probably end up with some questions that I get on a real regular basis, but if you've been thinking about the situation that you just don't have the answer for and you haven't had the sort of wherewithal to pick up the phone and call a lawyer, well, call the show. Let's see if we can chat about it, and I'm sure it'll lead us to a variety of different places today.
Sure.
So
give us a call, 303-477-5600. Again, Kevin's office handles several different areas of law, personal injury, workers' comp, criminal law.
A lot of litigation.
Dog bites, slip and falls, whatever. So he can handle a lot of things. And so, as I always mention on Fridays, you ought to have his number in your phone, and Kevin's number directly is 303-806-8886, 303-806-8886, and his website is Flesch Law, Flesch Law.com. Sometimes we watch TV so much, and you always hear these different terms, but I think a lot of us don't know what they mean.
Yeah.
And that can be even in punishments. And I was asking you before we went on air, I saw where the Avalanche goalie got handed down a sentence for the domestic violence deal he was involved in, allegedly, I'll say.
Right. He was just charged this week. You're absolutely correct.
But so he got a third
degree assault.
Third degree. So explain the different degrees of assault, maybe.
So in assault cases, you have really 3 degrees: first, second, and third degree. And I always think it's kind of counterintuitive because most people think the higher number, the worse it's got to be. And actually, in this case, it's just the opposite. First degree is the most serious degree of assault. Second degree assault is serious bodily injury. So if you cause an injury to somebody that's determined to be a broken bone, what's strange about it as well in second degree assaults is broken cartilage. So if you get into a bar fight and you break a guy's nose, that's serious bodily injury. And that's, if you're convicted of it, it's mandatory prison time. Serious stuff. Third degree assault is where most of the assaults that you see in everyday life, that's where you cause pain to someone but no serious bodily injury. And those are normally misdemeanor counts. I mean, they are misdemeanor counts. The first and second degree are felonies. The third degree is a misdemeanor. And in those cases, the Avalanche goalie, you know, the girlfriend is making the allegation of some sort of domestic dispute where he caused her pain.
Right.
And that's the charge.
And if what she said was true, and I want to preface that,
right?
You know what? As you
weren't there.
There's 2 sides to every story, and then there's the truth. But if what she said happened, that was a bad deal.
Yeah.
Let's go right to the phones. We got Michael. Michael, you're on Haystack Help Radio with Kevin Flesch. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, thanks.
Good. How can we help you?
I've got a question for you. My wife was driving in a company vehicle, a van, I think it was like a van, and she was rear-ended by a Mack dump truck going about 20 miles an hour.
Is she okay?
Yeah, she's okay. I mean, the vehicle was totaled. But now that it's, you know, we didn't get an attorney because we didn't know how this was going to work with workman's compensation.
Right.
And now we're dealing with a third-party insurance companies. Basically, you know, we're at their whim to do everything we need to do. She has stopped seeing doctors and things like that because we moved out of state from where we were.
Oh, okay.
So my question is this: how much does workman's compensation affect the claim at all, or has nothing to do with it?
It has a lot to do with it, and this is where people get into trouble. Is you on your own decide that you're going to settle with that third-party tortfeasor, the Mack truck, as you said. You settled with them, and you don't let the workers' comp carrier know that you've settled. They come after you for whatever you've gotten to cover the workers' compensation damages that they've paid out. So it's critical that if you do go forward, this is one of those complicated cases where did she get a settlement with workers' compensation as well, or did she just treated with them?
She was just treated with them, and supposedly they have a lien on that claim.
They do. They have a state statutory lien, and it's what I would consider a super lien. They have to be put on notice of any sort of settlement. And in fact, I've got a case right now where it's a large claim, so they're actually going to the at-fault party directly, and they can do that to try to resolve it. So the best thing that I can say to you is before you do anything, make sure that you talk to me or someone like me to put the workers' comp carrier on notice, and it'll help you as well in increasing the value of the case against the folks that hit her.
Yeah, I think that's where we're at this point, because the problem is this was done in Virginia as opposed to Colorado, so I don't know if you've got
we can still do it. Are you in Colorado now?
Yes.
Okay, so we certainly, I help folks. I've got cases all over the United States. We can certainly resolve them. In the event that we can't get the case resolved and we have to file suit in that particular jurisdiction, I get in contact with the lawyer there that's licensed there, and we co-counsel the case together.
Okay, terrific. How do I get in touch with you guys?
Yep.
Yeah, give Kevin a call, 303-806-8886. 303-806-8886. And again, it's Kevin Flesch. And where do you live? What area of town?
I'm in the Golden area.
Okay. This isn't going to be horrible. It's right off of Inglewood, I'm sorry, off of like a Broadway in the Hamden area.
Okay.
And but you know what? Kevin's cool. I mean, he'll drive somewhere and meet you, whatever.
Absolutely.
So,
I'm out in Jeffco all the time, so we can figure that out too. And
all right.
And certainly just call the office. They've got my calendar. They'll be able to set something up with you.
All right. Thanks very much.
All right. Give him a call, Michael, and we appreciate it.
Thanks, sir.
rear-ended by a Mack truck. That
Not
can't be
good.
Yeah.
And when he said that she wasn't injured, I was like, there must have been some injury.
Exactly. But, Michael, thanks for calling and thanks for listening. And give Kevin a call, 303-806-8886. So we're talking about the degrees.
Oh, yeah. So the degrees of criminal assault, basically. So the Avalanche player, I know they had allowed him to travel with the team and that sort of thing. So a misdemeanor, that's generally what happens. The allegation did sound a lot worse than that.
Right.
But I heard the person speaking for the DA's office in Denver just driving over here saying, well, this is what we think we can prove. So I would have a tendency to believe that they've really looked at it because, of course, any of these athletes have pretty good ability to have good counsel.
Right.
And we have a tendency to make some hay with some of these folks, and it sounds like this is an interesting one for somebody to defend, and you just got to see how the process goes.
Sure.
If in this particular case, if he's convicted, on a third-degree assault, a maximum penalty would be 1 year in the county jail, and then domestic violence classes and that sort of thing. But my guess is that they'll be able to work something out, and we will hear something 4 or 5 months ago saying that it's resolved and he hasn't left the team.
All right, Legal Day. Give us a call. Any question that you want to ask in the legal realm, maybe you've heard some legal terms you want definitions for, maybe you're having a legal issue going on right now, or you have a friend that does.
Even if you don't understand what the legal term means.
Yeah.
Because most people, there's some...
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I hear people talk about hearsay all the time, and there's actually a legal definition for it, and I don't think most people really understand what it is because most law students don't understand what it means.
When we come back, stay on the edge of your seat.
That's
We're going
right.
to figure out what hearsay means. 303-477-5600. This is Haystack Help Radio.
The number one concern for baby boomers today is financial security. Hi, I'm Dot Mecklenburg. I'm a financial advisor with 43 years of experience and have become the trusted resource for people planning retirement transitions. I want to see that you have enough money to enjoy the lifestyle you love for the rest of your life. For a free consultation, call me today at 303-647-1948. That's 303-647-1948. Or visit us at dotmecklenburg.com. That's DotMechtenberg.com.
Dot Mecklenburg Financial Services is an official company of Haystack Help and an A-plus member of the Better Business Bureau. Securities and advisory services offered through Genios Wealth Management, Inc., member FINRA SIPC.
What could you do with an extra $500, $1,000, or even $1,500 per month? How would that change things for you? Would you buy a new car, pay off bills, or just feel a bit more secure about your retirement? What if I told you there's a way to make your dreams a reality? I'm talking about trading and investing in the market. Now, before you say, oh, that's not for me, just hear me out. I want to invite you to a half-day trading course so you can check this out. I promise you, you'll go away smarter than when you came in. We here at Online Trading Academy sponsor this, and we'll even send you home with a free home study video guide. Your money's doing nothing for you in a CD or mutual fund. Learn how to profit when the market's up or down. Call us now while seats are still available at 303-325-2776. Use offer code Radio50. 303-325-2776. That's 303-325-2776.
Have you been involved in an auto accident, slip and fall, or any other personal injury? I'm Kevin Flesch with Flesch Law, and I've been protecting victims' rights for over 17 years. If you want aggressive representation that will get you the money you deserve, then call me at 303-884-1037 or visit my website at fleschlaw.com. That's Flesch, F-L-E-S-C-H. I will give you the personal service you deserve, starting with a free consultation. Call me 303-884-1037 or visit me at fleschlaw.com.
Shouldn't a home comfort system make you completely comfortable? At Carrier, our expert dealers are the trusted source for everything you need for home heating and cooling. When you decide to repair or upgrade your home comfort system, your local Carrier dealer can advise you on your air conditioning, heating, and indoor air quality needs. From maintenance to repair to installation, going with a Carrier expert is a decision you'll always take comfort in.
Littleton Heating, Air Conditioning, and Duct Cleaning, 303-798-3880, Denver Metro, HVAC.com.
Have you heard about Lynn Lyle Chevrolet's 2013 Closeout Triple Play? Right now, you get a guaranteed lowest price, guaranteed highest trade-in value, and the lowest interest rates from over 75 lending institutions. Lynn Lyle Chevrolet, I-225 in East Colfax, or on the web at lynnlylechevy.com.
I'll never forget
that moment.
As long as I live.
As long as I live.
My first call up ever as a member of the National Guard.
When we got to the armory, they briefed us on the wildfires. They were getting dangerously close to homes.
Helicopters were going out to drop water on the fires.
Guys in the unit were preparing for firefighting with local fire crews.
At that moment, I got my first taste of just how important the Guard is to my community.
See how the Guard can be an important part of your life at NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the Colorado National Guard. Aired by the Colorado Broadcasters Association and this station.
Welcome back to Haystack Help Radio. My name is Scott Watley. Our good buddy Kevin Flesch is in studio for Legal Day. The lines are yours. Give us a call, 303-477-5600. Any question you can ask Kevin, just anything about in the attorney world.
Absolutely.
Any kind of legal definitions, any kind of laws you're not. Yeah. If you stump Kevin, we'll, right. I don't know.
Free consultation.
Yeah, we'll get you. 303-477-5600. And trying to see if we have a call. Okay. All right. Now, hearsay.
Yeah.
And you hear that a lot.
I do. I hear it all the time. And people say, well, I don't know if I can prove it. It's hearsay. You know, hearsay is, first of all, the legal definition of hearsay is a out-of-court statement used to prove the matter asserted. Well, what does that mean? Right? So what it means is it's a statement that someone has made about something that you're using to prove something to a judge or to a jury. And you can't use them. Right? So you can't use them. So what that means is that, let's say you have witness statements and in a criminal case, and the person's written out that statement, and you want to use that in a court of law. Well, you can't use the statement unless the person is there and the person testifies about what they said. Because when they testify in court, then it's not hearsay. But you can't use that statement without the person being there, because then it's an out-of-court statement, because it's a written statement that is written out of court, and it's not admissible. Now, there's about 14, maybe 20 exceptions to the rule. You can use that statement for other purposes. State of mind of the person. You can use it to refresh the recollection of someone. An expert can use it to base their opinion upon something. So what I'm saying is that it's not as cut and dry as, okay, this person said, and I don't know if I can prove it, because a lot of times we can get those things in. But when somebody says it's hearsay, well, that's true. We use it all the time, out-of-court statements, to use it for different other purposes. And so it's not as simple as it seems.
All right, let's go to the phones. We have Connie on the line. Connie, you're on Haystack Help Radio with Kevin Flesch.
Well, hello, Mr. Flesch.
Hi, Connie.
For one thing, I hate to play on the part you're older, but I'll be... at the end of January, I'll be 69 years old, so I'm pushing 70 real hard here.
I thought you were calling Kevin older.
Yeah, I was going to say,
no,
holy cow.
I'm also, retired. I have to have some foot surgeries, but that's not the point. The point is I had a Native American child I was raising for 4 years. He went back to the reservation. Went all the way to the Colorado Supreme Court to win him, and from the tribe. It was me against the tribe.
Yes.
But anyway, to make a long story short, that's not what I'm called. I had a 2-bedroom. Well, when he went back home he's a Lakota Sioux, then I had to give up the house and go to a 1-bedroom, which is fine because I'm on a Section 8. I was with him, and they let me keep it.
Right.
Okay, when I moved out of the house, now, this is really strange, but a brain surgeon owns a lot of property across from Swedish.
Sure.
And this house is across from Swedish. All the rest of them have become parking lots, but it's not. Yesterday, after 2.5 months, I get what I owe for any kind of damages or anything.
Yep. Did you pay up?
They didn't say anything about the house being. I left it much cleaner than it was when I moved in.
Okay.
All this stuff and little things like, I don't know. A smoke alarm detector, $60. I thought that was a little unreal, but that's okay. A door, different repairs, broken blind for $20. It was an old blind, but that's okay. What they charged me, Mr. Flesch, was I stuck there. The backyard was full of sinkholes. It was sinking. In fact,
can I interrupt you one second? Because
sure.
I need a couple of things from you. First,
Okay.
did you have a lease with them?
Yes, I did.
All right. And in the lease, did it explain how much you were paying for a security deposit?
$900, and that's on this.
Okay.
$900 deposit.
And then,
which I thought maybe $150 they'd find something. In
right.
2 years I did, but
okay. And I'm going to tell you about what exactly they can charge for. It has to be more than just normal wear and tear for your security deposit. So 2 years is a long time to be in a house, so some of this stuff probably you can dispute.
Well, I think the broken blind that was old when I moved in, they didn't paint, they didn't do anything, but this is the big thing.
Okay.
Flesch. This is the big one.
All right.
I just almost fell over. And I wouldn't be calling over little mucksnick stuff, believe me. You know, I mean, it's like
it doesn't sound like you would
just
be.
Pay it and be done with it, like most people are. Anyway, no, I told you how old I was.
Right. Take a breath. We have an hour, so you can just take your time.
Too long. Other people have to get in. One of these is fill in holes in backyard. Well, that's where the sinkholes were coming. In fact, we had the big rain in was that July. It actually was coming into the basement from a sinkhole. It filled up next to the house. I kept filling them up, and anyway, that's a long story. But okay, fill in holes in the backyard. Just said holes. Clean up broken concrete. And repair fence. Concrete? The walkways were all buckled. I guess I had to break it up and because I told them to. They're charging me for cleaning up concrete. Now, this is probably a 70-year-old house for one thing.
All right, a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
When you first moved in, did they have you complete a check-in sheet?
Well, I didn't do the outside.
No, I understand. I'm just asking.
Yeah, well, I'm on Section 8, so they go through and they say, you need to have a lock here, you need to do this, you need to do that. But you do suck up a lot.
So Section 8, I'm guessing, is going to have annual checkups with your residents?
But I don't think the backyard.
Yeah,
I mean,
you will be surprised.
The other thing is, let me tell you, Inglewood came out, but the broken concrete and the repair of the fence. Okay, now the fence was rotten. It was a wood fence and turned that dark brown color. You can't even put a nail in it because it's so rotten.
Okay.
So I asked her for 2 years, please fix the fence, because I had a dog, please fix the fence.
Yeah.
I even have a hole in the back of my leg from where I put it up, and I couldn't get a hold of it, and I had to kind of take off, and it came down and put
Hey, Connie, let me ask you one quick question, because we do have some other callers.
Okay.
What is your question?
I've called Jeffco, I've called all these places, and, it's really hard to get them. I don't know that...
You have to file suit. You have to go to small claims court and file suit against your old landlord, saying that what they've charged you for the security deposit is unreasonable.
Do I also say anything? Now, Medicare paid for it, but I fell down their steps because they had no railings and they're real steep steps, and I broke my fifth metatarsal, so I was in a boot by the time I even left. Do I say anything about that? I mean, the fact that they're... What do you call it? Their neglect for 2 years. They did nothing to this house.
Relating to you falling down the stairs could be a claim, a personal injury claim. How long ago did that happen?
That happened the beginning of the summer.
Okay. And had you put them on notice of the problems with the staircase?
Oh, yeah. They were supposed to put railings up. In fact,
this is
Section 8 even noted that because you have to have something. If you fall, you have nothing to grab onto.
Right. And I have a case similar to that right now, and it's an interesting issue as to what the landowner's responsibility is. What I would recommend you doing is calling my office and setting an appointment to come in and see me.
Okay.
Because we're gonna spend a half hour talking about this.
Oh, sure, I understand.
And I want to help you.
What I'm trying to say is I did nothing about that because Medicaid paid it.
No, I
it
understand.
was pain and injury, but or Medicare, I mean. But
let's talk about it in person, and then I can figure out whether we can help you.
They're going to charge me unreasonably, and I think it's spite because of Inglewood coming out and making a report on them.
Do you have a pen handy, Connie?
Yes, I do.
All right, write down 303.
Okay.
806.
806.
8886.
8886. I will
call Kevin's office. Tell him you just heard Kevin on the radio, and he told you to call the office and make an appointment.
All right.
Free consultation. We'll talk to you next week. Okay.
Okay. Bless you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow.
She has a lot going on.
A lot going on.
And she talks really fast.
Yeah. My ears are tired.
Yeah. Now, so that's a good example of what we're talking about, though.
It is.
There's an example of where, she has a bad landlord experience. She's probably been pretty good about I'm guessing, just based upon sort of her conversation with us, good tenant.
Yeah.
Had to leave because she had to go down one bedroom because of the child relationship. And then they've got a landlord that's not taking care of the premises.
I tell you, tenant issues are a whole nother hour. Different thing.
Yeah.
Right. We're up against the clock, though. Got to take a break. Give us a call. Sandy, I know you were on the line. We lost you there. Give us a call back, 303-477-5600. And we will take your calls on anything, which we just proved. This is Haystack Help Radio.
People make mistakes. We can help. At Jansen Legal, we strongly believe that a good criminal defense engages you as an active team member in your own defense. We understand you are the most vested person in your pending criminal matter, and you will never be treated as a criminal despite what you are being charged with. Don't risk your future and your freedom by facing a criminal charge alone. Call me, Molly Jansen, for a free consultation at 303-832-5400.
Are you paying for broken windows after every round of golf? Are you always yelling 4 to the fairway next to yours? Are you searching in the woods hole after hole? Do you continue to lose every ball in your bag? Do you turn a 4-hour round into 5.5 hours? If you're that guy, or you invited that guy to play with you, you need No Slice. Just put No Slice on your golf club and it will eliminate your slice, guaranteed, or your money back. Enjoy golf again. For more information or to purchase No Slice, go to noslicegolf.com. That's noslicegolf.com.
Hi, I'm bankruptcy attorney Benjamin Yablon, author of The Bankruptcy Guide. If you're overwhelmed by debt, you need to call me today. My direct line is 303-562-3167. Come in today for a free consultation, and your copy of The Bankruptcy Guide is free as well. Once again, 303-562-3167. Or visit my website at yablonlaw.com. That's Y-A-B as in boy, L-O-N as in Nick, and the word law.com. I'm attorney Benjamin Yablon.
You strive for success every day. Take the time now before tragedy strikes and you can't protect your kids. Ensure they have the guidance they deserve.
I'm attorney Bonnie, and our passion is to make sure parents don't leave it up to a judge who doesn't know your family to decide who raises your children. Without a plan, it could be a nightmare.
I checked out willsandwellness.com, a different kind of law firm. Personal family lawyer Bonnie Bowles helped me design a plan so my daughter would always be cared for by someone I want. Bonnie at willsandwellness.com made the process approachable and welcoming. Check it out, willsandwellness.com.
Gearhead's High Performance Radio, Saturday mornings at 10. Now on The Source, AM 560 KLZ.
You got into business to pursue your passion and set your own work hours, not necessarily to work the entrepreneurial half days of 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We've got answers for you on the next Experience Pros radio show. Hi, this is Eric, and Angel and I invite you to tune in for positive business talk.
Take the Experience Pros radio show to work with you every day. There's always something positive for you and your business on the Experience Pros radio show. Weekdays from 10 to noon right here on AM 560, The Source.
Welcome back to Haystack Help Radio. Kevin Flesch is in studio. Kevin's number 303-806-8886. Fleschlaw.com, F-L-E-S-C-H law.com. And Connie, if you're still listening, we want to help you. But when you come to Kevin's office, you got to talk a little slower because he's got to take notes.
That's right.
And he'll help you, I promise you. So Connie, thanks for calling, and we will do our best to help you. And that's great. Let's go right to the phones again. We have Curtis about an auto accident. Curtis, how are you?
I'm considering I'm doing quite well. Thank you for asking.
Well, good. How can we help you today?
My question is, my vehicle was totaled. It was actually 2 weeks ago yesterday, and along with dealing with that, now I have some medical appointments. The crown of my head punched out the back window of my extended cab truck, and I post-concussive syndrome. Yeah, it took out 5 cars in a line. I was at a complete stop at road construction and was hit from behind at 50 plus.
Wow.
And did you have your seatbelt on?
I did, yes.
That's quite a to move you back into the back part of your truck. That
was an impact.
Well,
yeah.
It broke the driver's seat backwards,
Oh.
and my head punched out the back window. And right as that happened, I impacted the car in front of me.
Got it.
Which then threw me forward.
Right.
And luckily, my airbag deployed right as I was within an inch and a half of the steering wheel right as it blew up.
Did the airbag break your nose?
No, because the way I was coming back at the wheel after going backwards first, my head was kind of extended up, and I took most of the airbag in the throat.
Got it. Ow.
Wow, that had to...
Yeah, it was pretty bruised.
Wow. All right, well, how can we help you?
Well, I'm kind of curious. I have representatives from the party at fault that was cited making attempts to contact me, and I'm wondering if I'm damaging my claim at all if I settle for the vehicle now, if the injuries sustained and the lost time from work are a separate issue from the property damage, or if that all needs to be rolled up into one.
Nope, you can settle the two separately, and in fact, you'll have two different claim reps, one dealing with the property damage and one dealing with the personal injuries and the lost time from work. These are exactly, you're in my wheelhouse of the cases that we handle. Certainly you can settle the property damage claim on your own, making sure that you get what you think is full value for the vehicle at the just prior to the accident. And we can certainly help you through the process of getting yourself better after the accident.
Do you have legal representation right now, Curtis?
Not at this point, no.
All right, here's what I want you to do, and I'm not just saying this because Kevin is here on this show, but yeah, okay. Have you got a pen? You can write down this number.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
All right, 303-806-8886. I want you to call that number when we finish this call, and I want you to make an appointment with Kevin. Listen, this is a free consultation.
I understand.
All I want to do is let you visit with Kevin, let him hear all that you have going on, and you don't have to do anything, hire him or whatever, okay? There's no pressure in this whatsoever. I just don't want you've been in an accident, now I don't want you to make a mistake, okay, by saying the wrong thing or whatever. So you need someone's guidance, pretty quick in this whole ordeal, and that's like now. So, Kevin can see you next week before Thanksgiving, hopefully, and get you to come in and just sit down and look at everything and advise you on some things. And then, you know what, if you end up doing it and liking him, then hire him. But if not, hey, at least you're a little bit more well educated than you are, today. And because, like I say, these insurance companies, and again, we have insurance companies on our show. We're not slamming insurance companies, but they've got a job to do, and Kevin's got a job to do to protect you.
Yeah, Curtis, have you looked at the value of your vehicle that's been totaled? What you think it's worth?
I've got some comparables off of Auto Trader, Craigslist, and it's around $10K.
Okay.
About four more than what Blue Book value is.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you, if you looked at Blue Book or NADA, the National Auto Dealers Association book. And is that what they're offering you?
I haven't. I haven't spoke to them yet.
Okay.
So I was going to see what their offer was. Just over a year ago, I hit an elk doing 50 plus on a mountain pass.
That elk was moving.
Well,
have you ever thought about taking a bus, Curtis?
Well, the deal with that is that I ended up fighting with them for a month and ended up with Blue Book value. So I'm not going to make that mistake again.
That's exactly right. And before you come and see me, you might as well start having that conversation with them. Don't agree to anything, but at least know where you're at in the way of negotiations, so that when we sit down, I can tell you, what I think and what your chances are in doing something else. Because my guess, you, like everybody else that comes into my office, you need a vehicle, right?
Well, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we've got some people that can even help with that a little bit. And are you getting medical attention now, Curtis?
Yes. Well, I went to the hospital the day of the accident, and then I went back a few days after that with some other symptoms that showed up because of the endorphin and adrenaline rush on the day of the accident. I didn't really feel anything wrong in certain areas, and then it started hurting as the days went on. So
the third day after the accident probably was the worst.
Yeah, and then I went, and so at that point they made an appointment for a ear, nose, and throat specialist that I have this week coming up. So.
Okay. Right. Well, call my office. Erin's at the office, my receptionist. She's got my calendar. She'll be able to set you within the next few days. We'll sit down and make sure that at least...
Just
give
tell
a
her you were
sense.
on the radio with
Yep.
Kevin, and we said to call, and he will get you in, and I promise you'll be in the best hands we could possibly put you in there, Curtis. I
Yeah.
promise you.
Well, and I know, Kevin, you helped out a friend of mine in the past when you were doing Defender work in Jeffco.
Oh, good. Okay, sure.
But I enjoy your program, and I guess I'm fortunate that you took my call. I've listened to you for a while, and thanks for the answers.
All right,
Awesome.
we're
Thanks,
glad
Curtis.
you're okay too, man. So,
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right,
All right.
that's
Have a good
all right,
day.
Curtis. Thank you. Man, I tell you what, I can't imagine getting hit at 50 miles an hour. Wow.
You know,
at a dead stop.
I had a case about 10 years ago, exactly that same thing. A guy was in a Honda, and he was a big guy. He was about 250 pounds. And the guy that hit him, it was on C470, and he got his flip-flop in between the gas pedal and the floor somehow, and he couldn't get the gas off. The guy hit him at 65. Same thing. He broke the seat. Unbelievable. There was enough force that my client bent the steering wheel to a 90-degree angle.
Wow.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And he had some significant injuries. But he got through it pretty well because he was just so bulky. He was so big. He was like you.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Yeah. Our number is 303-477-5600. Legal Day with Kevin Flesch. We are helping people, as you can hear. So give us a call. Anything you want to talk about, we will take your call, 303-477-5600. Kevin, one thing I think we hear a lot about is rental car insurance I wanted to ask you about.
Yeah.
Do you recommend, and the reason I bring this up, I had a friend of mine 2 weeks ago, and I just saw him yesterday. He rented a car, checked he was going to be the only driver.
Yes.
Totally planned on that. Valets.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a
at
problem.
a restaurant.
Yep.
The guy drives the car 50 feet and scrapes along this other deal.
Yeah.
So now
they don't have coverage.
They don't have coverage because they go, well, you said you were going to, were you driving? He said, no, the valet. Well, then our deal's void.
Right.
You know. So when should you just always park your car if you're,
well,
I mean, how do you cover that?
Yeah, so a couple of things. You want to find out for your actual auto owner's policy, your regular car insurance, whether you have coverage for renting a car somewhere else, and whether or not another driver can drive that car while you're renting it. A lot of times you can get that endorsement or that's included in your regular auto policy.
Right.
Then there's a lot of schools of thought. I generally don't because I'm willing to take on the risk for the deductible. But, you know, the car insurance companies, you're at the window and they're always trying to sell you all of these different insurance coverages. Well, some of them really make sense, and that's one of the situations where you ask them about, well, what happens exactly in that situation? Do you have a coverage for that? Or for me, for my deductible? Or for loss of use and that sort of thing? And they generally do. It's $9 or $10 a day, I think, is what that insurance coverage is. Now, that's pretty expensive, but if you don't rent a car real often and you're not willing to take on that risk, then you get it. Because, yeah, exactly right. You lose, or, you know, you say, oh, I'm going to be the only driver, and then you get tired driving somewhere and your wife or spouse drives it for 20 minutes and runs into something, and then you got to explain that you weren't the driver and you've got issues.
Sure. Now, let's take just a minute and talk about different courts. Sometimes you hear about municipal court, a county court, a district court, a federal court.
Oh, there's so many courts.
Yeah. So let's take
Connie, for example.
Yeah, Connie.
You know, so there are a couple of well, she's a good example.
I don't see the court on here. I was thinking, yeah. So what court? Now you mentioned small claims.
Right.
Okay.
So
now let's clear that up.
Yeah.
Small claims, you don't get to take you with them, right?
You can.
Okay.
The way small claims works, the first thing that's important to know about small claims is that it has a maximum jurisdiction of $7,500. Right. So if you have a matter that's less than that, it's worth doing. Procedurally, there are some things that are much easier because it's actually pro se, individual people generally representing themselves, and it's either a magistrate or a judge that or a lawyer that is there trying to figure out how to resolve them. And the rules of evidence aren't as precise. It's kind of a catch. It's just one of those situations where it's a little different. It's kind of people's courtish, if you will. Lawyers can practice in small claims court. I have done a trial or two in small claims court. The point with having a lawyer, though, is the lawyer has to enter their appearance at least 7 days in advance of the first trial setting or the first time that you have to show up for the small claims matter. If that person does have a lawyer and they enter properly, then the other side gets to have a lawyer as well.
Gotcha.
Okay? But the rules of evidence are different, and the jurisdiction is much less. But for the sort of disputes that you see a lot of times relating to security deposits, small breach of contract claims, those sorts of things, it's good for people to take I refer people there where it doesn't make sense to get a lawyer to pay me on an hourly basis to go and do it. Okay? And it's a good way to get things resolved generally fairly quickly. The other time that I see it's sometimes helpful is I will tell someone, okay, you've got to get the attention of a big corporation and go file your claim in small claims and sue them in small claims. I don't know, pick the corporation. Right. Because what's going to happen is the corporation is going to enter, they're going to get a lawyer, and then they're going to move it out of that court, probably to county court. But you've got their attention, and the filing fee is pretty minimal. So as long as your dispute is less than $7,500, it's not a bad place to go. Okay. The next level of court is then county court, which has a maximum level of judgment of up to $15,000. That, again, we use that, and lawyers practice there on a regular basis. So the nice thing about county court is the discovery is fairly minimal, and the time period in which you have to sort of sit around and wait for a court date is shorter than the district court, the main court of the state.
Okay.
The nice thing with county court is most places so you personally serve the person, they have a particular date that they have to answer. You then show up for that answer date if they haven't answered already, and the court directs the parties to go to a mediation immediately before setting a trial date. And so everybody's there, you set a mediation where you go and talk to someone about resolving it. Pretty good way to get your disputes resolved in a timely fashion, because that's what everybody complains about, right?
Right.
It takes so long. And it's true. I mean, it does. I mean, the process, and especially when you get to the district court, where where the general jurisdiction of the state is. Right. Arapahoe, in particular, I'm setting trials right now 14 months from now. I mean, that's just hard for someone that's been in a personal injury case or some other matter to sit around that long.
So are most of your deals in a county court?
No, most are in district court because the value of the case is more than $15,000.
Okay. And then when you step up to a federal court, what makes that leap from district to federal?
So two things. You either have a federal question, so you're raising an issue that someone has violated a federal law. Constitutional law or federal statute, that goes to the federal court. A lot of the employment disputes that we have, we're representing a plaintiff in a discrimination case against their employer. That's normally under Title 1983. That's one of the famous state or federal statutes, and that's something that people, when we bring those claims, you go to federal court on. Oh, we got a call.
Yep. All right, we're going to have to take a break, but I'll tell you what, we're going to go ahead and take Wally first. So, Wally, you're on Haystack Help Radio with Kevin Flesch. How are you?
Good. How are you?
We're great, man.
I just wanted to make a comment. If somebody's been to small claims court for an ex-boss multiple times, winning isn't hard. Collecting sometimes is.
Absolutely correct. Yeah. And that's true in every court. I've got a drawer full of judgments that I can't collect on.
But, what I would recommend if somebody wants to go to small claims court is get the judgment, and then if it's a fairly large amount of that $7,500, then hire a collection attorney to collect it for you.
Absolutely correct. That's a great point.
Because working through the small claims collection system, if you don't understand it or you don't understand the law while it's supposed to be for the average Joe, it can be very complicated to understand what you have to do to file and get all the proper stuff done in order to go to the next level for collecting.
Yeah, the post-judgment process is difficult in every one of the courts. You're absolutely correct. That's a great point.
What have most of your type cases, when you've had to go to small claims, what are they dealing with?
When I was doing it, it was for collecting for roofing stuff that hadn't been paid for.
Yeah.
I will say that every time that I won every case except for one, and I collected all of the cases that I won except for one. So,
That's
and
awesome.
A couple of those were 6,000 plus, and I was actually able to settle those like the day before we went to small claims court. And that comment that you were just making about the you have to file a week ahead for if you want a lawyer to represent you.
Yeah.
I had a guy that filed the day before, and the lawyer showed up in small claims court, and the judge said, "Why are you here?" Because he didn't file on time, and they ended up giving him a stay to refile it or something. I don't remember all the details, but
Yep.
he ended up losing to me anyhow.
Yeah.
So,
No, absolutely. That's very true. And I've had that happen where I've shown up the day before, done the same exact thing, and then I've sat in the front row just advising the client because I couldn't actually appear in the court.
well, the client actually wasn't there in this case. He had the
Oh.
lawyer there to represent him completely,
Yeah.
and the judge got really irritated over it.
Well, the lawyer should have known better.
Yeah, that's why you hire somebody with experience like Kevin,
Right.
because you know what, he's not going to put you in that situation or himself in that situation.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it was the lawyer's fault. The guy hadn't filed in time, and then he had the lawyer come in to represent him.
Right.
And the lawyer tried. He was successful in getting it rescheduled for another time.
Yeah.
But the judge wouldn't let the lawyer come in to represent him
Correct.
on the second date.
Yep.
And he ended up losing.
Right.
So,
Yep, that's exactly right. Well, good. I'm glad that you've been that's a positive report for the small claims, and you're absolutely correct. The post-judgment process can be difficult, and you've got to chase people and figure out where they got their assets.
now, I will say one thing that most of the small claims courts are doing now is that they are requiring that you try and arbitrate before you go in front of the judge.
Right.
Arapahoe County will not hear your case unless you agree to arbitrate. And if you can't settle it, then you get to go in front of the judge.
Correct.
And Jefferson County was the same way.
Yep. No, that's right. So you may have a little bit of brain damage there in the event that you really don't want to resolve it. You want to get your day in court, but that's part of the process right now.
It is. And you don't have to agree to settle in that arbitration. You just have to go, and you can sit there and act like a lump on a log.
Yep.
And but in some cases, and I had one personal that I won with a young man that was renting a house with my son from me.
Yeah.
And he just decided to be stupid, and I ended up settling with him because I knew that I wasn't going to be able to get anything any further from it.
Yeah, that's a great point too. Sometimes that process. What it does is it gives you additional information to realize that you're better off sometimes compromising the claim just to get what you can get, because otherwise it's just going to be more brain damage than it's worth.
It is. So.
All right, Wally, man, we appreciate it. And hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.
All right, thanks for calling. Yeah, small claims can be very, very good. And then now we're talking about that jump from district to federal court. So you got a federal issue.
Yeah, so there's two ways. A federal issue, so there's a federal question, so the federal judge has to make the decision about that. The other one is a little bit more complicated because you have to have diversity. So the parties that are involved all have to be citizens of different states. And then the controversy has to be more than, I think, $75,000 or $100,000. And that's the only way that you get, for purposes of the parties being diverse and a non-federal question, that you end up in federal court. We do a fair amount of federal court as well. Yeah, I refer to it as sort of as big boy court, because the federal judges are lifetime appointments, and they have egos to match those lifetime appointments. So they don't mess around. You got to know what you're doing, and you don't go into that courthouse without making sure you understand the process and how it works. And of course, every judge has a different process that they render their cases and how they go forward. So there are a lot of local rules and a lot of things that if you don't practice there on a regular basis, you get yourself in trouble.
Right. Our number is 303-477-5600. We still have a few more minutes. Get your calls in. So give us a call. Any legal question whatsoever. This is Legal Day with Kevin Flesch, so give us a call, 303-477-5600. Now, what about, like, for regular DMV stuff, Department of Motor Vehicle.
Yep.
Where's most of that stuff handled?
All right, so the way that the state legislature and the powers to be believe that our driver's licenses are not a right, they're a privilege. We have a privilege to drive, and so with that privilege comes the ability to have that privilege taken away from you, and they decide that at DMV hearings, administrative law judges who are appointed to determine what happens with your driver's license in the event that you have an alcohol-related offense or you lose your license related to points. And in both of those situations, you'll get notices from the Department of Motor Vehicles saying, we're going to take your license, you can come in and talk to us about it, and we can have a hearing. And in some instances, especially relating to DUIs, you have to request a hearing, otherwise they just take it without a hearing. And those are like sort of secret courts, sort of. I mean, there are several places around the city, out on Pierce Street, where the big DMV is. There's a big hearing section there. That's what they call the courts. And it's essentially where people decide what to do about your driver's license when you've done things that may cause you to lose it. You know, you get 11 points. The way our adult driver's licenses, so you and I over the age of 21, we can get up to 11 points in any rolling calendar year. If we get that 12th point, then we're going to get a letter from DMV saying our license has been suspended because of points, and it can be up to a year. If it's an alcohol-related offense, depending upon whether it's a first, second, or third, you have some requirements relating to that as well, and interlock devices and all kinds of things. You know, that's the biggest thing that people run into as problems is I represent, over the last decade, I've represented a number of individuals who have their own businesses and are driving around the city, and I get a call from them when they've got that 12th point, and they're like, well, what does this mean? What do you mean I'm losing my driver's license?
Walking.
Right. It means you gotta, as one of them told me, they've got to go to traffic jail so that they basically take a class for a one-day class or something to get it reduced so that they can get their points down.
Gotcha.
So those administrative, they're like the workers' comp hearings. There's a whole bunch of different types of administrative processes that go on that are still really courts because they're adjudicating, they're making decisions about disputes about driving privileges and all the other things.
We got about 2 minutes. Educate us on photo radar tickets. I hear don't pay them until they legally serve you.
Right.
And then I've heard other deals, hey, just pay them. It's not worth the aggravation.
Well, so the bottom line is this, that they take a picture. If they can take a picture of the license plate and the person driving, and they can show that. So let's say, for example, my vehicles that I own, the vehicle that I drive is in my wife's name. The vehicle that my wife drives is in my name. Because what happens with these photo radars is they pull up the owner of the vehicle, and if it's a man or a woman and they've got a picture of a man or a woman, then they assume that the person that owns the vehicle is driving it. And they send you the ticket, and they try to say, we can prove ID based upon that. But when it's the opposite sex, or you don't have a good picture of the person, and they can't ID you, and they can't ID the owner of the vehicle or whatever, because they have to prove ID. If they can't prove ID based upon pictures, never pay them. So if you see the photo radar van, and it's a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit, and I'm not saying you should do this, and you're going 40, but if you're speeding and you see it, place something over your face so they can't ID you, right?
That'll work.
Because then they can't. Now you don't want to impede your vision.
Yeah.
So, but that's the bottom line. The bottom line is for them to prove the photo radar ticket, they've got to ID the driver, and if they can't, then there's no availability. So if you get a ticket like that and you look at it and you say, okay, they've got my right name and they've got my smiling face in the picture, and they'll be able to prove ID, then you pay it. But technically, they have to personally serve you. So they don't if they send it in the mail, that's not enough. The problem is if they personally serve you, it's another $50 or $100 for that service.
You're gambling there. Yeah.
Right. So.
And most of them I see these vans parked illegally.
Right.
You know, they're up on the curb. They're on the
So the other thing that they have to do is they have to put a sign about a block in front of where they have the photo radar, and they're blue signs. And if you're paying attention, you'll see them, and then you'll slow down enough so it won't be an issue. But they have to have the sign up before you get to the van because they have to put you on notice that there's a van there. So if you get one and you think, I don't think there was a sign notifying me, then you may have a defense there too.
All right. Well, Kevin, thank you very much.
Yeah, it was fun.
Help some people today.